Okay, welcome back to another episode of the New York State of Mind podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Ralph Miranda. Our producer is Nathan Miranda, and we're going to be talking Yankees again today. Today is the day after July 4th, July 5th today. The Yankees will be playing the Mets in the second game of their Subway Series this afternoon. The Yankees lost Game 1 yesterday in regular fashion for the Yankees. They jump out to a 2-0 lead in the top of the first, with home runs by Dominguez and Aaron Judge. And then the Yankees give up the lead in the bottom of the first when Juan Soto hits a 2-run home run. And the Yankees then go into the eighth inning with a 5-3 lead. It whittles down to 5-4. And then in the bottom of the eighth, Luke Weaver, who has been struggling since he came back off of the DL, gives up a 2-run home to McNeil, the second baseman for the Mets, and the Yankees lose 6-5. So the Yankees right now are sitting at 48-40. They are tied with the Tampa Bay Rays for second place in the American League East, 2 games behind the Blue Jays. Boston is 6.5 games behind. Baltimore 11.5 games behind. So the Yankees, I really don't know where to start. I talked a little bit about how to shake up their lineup. The only thing they've done, which I mentioned they should do, is make Dominguez the leadoff batter. That was a move that they've played in the last few games. It has come to fruition. But again today, they've got Grisham leading off, and they got Dominguez back at towards the middle of the lineup. Grisham, he started out hot. He's not the guy. I'm sorry, he's just not the guy. They've got Goldschmidt on the bench today. Bellinger will be playing first base. They've got LeMahieu on the bench today. Peraza will be playing second base. But I think Peraza should be playing third, and because of his glove. If you're going to start him, based on his bat is horrible. He's hitting like 150. But if you're going to start him, put him at third base. He's a better third baseman than Jazz Chisholm Jr., and put Chisholm at second base. Now, if you're not going to start Peraza, that's a different story. So again, just plenty of struggles for the Yankees over the recent times. Today, let's take a look real quick at the starters today. Carlos Rodon will be going for the Yankees. He's 9-5, 2.95 ERA. Frankie Montas 0-1, 6 ERA. He's been hurt for a while, Montas. So we'll see how that plays out for the Mets today. But the Yankees, I talked about the slump they were in, that it's not your father's slump. They're not just slumping, their deficiencies are coming to roost, okay? Right now, the Yankees are the worst in the major leagues this year in giving up or leaving runners stranded on base. They leave an average of 4 runners stranded, a little 4.13 runners stranded on base per game. That's just not real good. In the last 3 games, the Yankees have left almost 4.7 runners, or almost 5 runners on base. And it's come back to bite them. Toronto, they lost the entire series, got swept by the Blue Jays in Toronto in 4 games for the first time in the history of that rivalry since 1977 when Toronto became a team. So, and it was 3 of the 4 games were in usual fashion. In the first 2, the Yankees took the lead in both those games and couldn't hold it. In Game 3, Toronto jumped out to a 7-0 lead against Will Warren. The Yankees fought all the way back to tie it at 9-9, and then when the bottom of the 8th, when Devin Williams came in, again, he blew it. Walks, runner on third, wild pitch. Blue Jays go up 10-9, base hit. Another runner scores 11-9. The Yankees lose the game. And then, of course, they were down 6-5 in the 4th game. Go to the bottom of the 8th with the hope that they can hold the Blue Jays and at least have a chance in the top of the 9th. But they give up a 2-run homer to George Springer, and the Blue Jays go up 8-5, and they close it out and they win. And that was Weaver that gave up that home run to Springer. So it's just game after game, the same problems that the Yankees have. Errors, poor throws by Chisholm at third, So yesterday against the Mets, fielding bit them again. I mentioned the Yankees went up 2-0 in the first. In the bottom of the first, Dominguez misplays a ball in left field, which would have been an out, and the runner they get a runner on, and then Soto hits a 2-run home run. Ben Rice, who is not a catcher, I don't care how many games he played a catcher in the minor leagues, he's never played it up until this year in the major leagues. And pass ball, the Yankees, Escara with 2 catcher interference penalties, or I shouldn't say penalties, 2 interference calls in the Toronto series. The bullpen is just absolutely horrible right now. If you look at the Yankees bullpen, these are the guys that are on the disabled list right now. Fernando Cruz is on the disabled list. He was one of their good bullpen guys. Ryan Yarbrough, who was their 4th, I guess, or 5th starter, he's on the disabled list. Yerry De Los Santos, who to me is not very good anyway, but he's on the disabled list. Of course, Garrett Cole, we know about that. Luis Gil, he's on the disabled list. And Clark Schmidt went right on the disabled list after forearm tightness in his last start against the Blue Jays. So their bullpen is depleted for one, and it's not very good. It's overworked and it's not very good. Okay, Weaver. The guy was lights out last year as a closer. He was lights out this year. At the start of the season, when Devin Williams struggled, Weaver was lights out. When Weaver took the closing role from Williams, he was lights out. He goes on the disabled list because of hamstring problem, and comes back quicker than they thought, and he hasn't been able to get anybody out. He's given up home runs after home runs, which he's not used to. The Yankee pitchers have trouble getting ahead of batters, and if you can't get ahead of a batter, we talked about this before, then they're going to look for your best pitch. But when you can get ahead of a batter, then they really don't know what to look for. They can look for your best pitch, or you might throw them another pitch. You've got them off balance. And the Yankees don't seem to be able to do that. Al Leiter Jr., they should change his name to Al Leiter Fluid, because every time he comes in the game, things get lit up. He's not been pitching very well. Will Warren, for a while he was real good. His last game against the Blue Jays, the one that they jumped out 7-0, he couldn't get anybody out. He couldn't get his fastball over the plate. And then he starts trying to paint the corners, and when you get an umpire who's not going to give you those calls, now you start walking guys. So it's really, really not a good situation. We talked about their roster. Their roster is poorly constructed. I mentioned this before, but you come out of spring training, here's a team that was the defending American League champion. You've got more money than pretty much any other team in the major leagues, in my opinion. And you come out of spring training with Carlos Carrasco as one of your pitchers, 38-year-old guy who's basically a junker. Marcus Stroman, who was good when he was younger, but has not been very good the last few years. He's on your roster. He gets lit up by the Giants in the first inning in his first game in early April. You come out with Pablo Reyes, a utility infielder who can hit and really doesn't feel that well. Of course, they've since released him. You come out with DJ LeMahieu on the disabled list, who they're paying $26 million, so they feel like they have to pay him. He comes back, and now they feel like they have to play him. And then you come out with J.C. Escara as your backup catcher. Great story. We talked about this before. Great story. Former Uber driver. Tried to get back. He's been trying to get back in the major leagues. And he's serviceable, don't get me wrong, but he's made a couple 3 or 4 bad mistakes at catcher, and he's not a very good hitter. So your roster is so poorly constructed that you've got no way to compensate. And then Oswaldo Cabrera, who was going to be your third baseman, gets hurt. So now you got to move Chisholm back to third, which is not his position. He's made error after error the last few games. And you got LeMahieu playing second, who is past his prime, and he's not hitting very well. He's a good defender, but he's not hitting very well. Goldschmidt came out of the gate on fire. That's another guy you picked up in the offseason. Now he's struggling badly. Great first baseman, don't get me wrong, but he's the kind of guy that you're going to just want to put in late innings for defensive purposes, because your other first base options, Ben Rice, playing well at first base, but not really a first baseman, and Bellinger, who can play first base. In fact, he's playing it today. Again, I would take Goldschmidt over those guys defensively. So the Yankees, and here's another thing. Aaron Judge has been walked intentionally now 25 times. I might have that off by one or two, which is the most all-time of any Yankee. And that's going to go up as the season goes on, because they don't fear anybody in the Yankee lineup. In fact, if Judge came on with runners on first, if there were 2 outs and there were runners on first and second even, I would walk Judge, because nobody behind him can really do anything on a regular basis, all right? And then you get into the situation, and even Judge, for example, you get into the situation where we are in Major League Baseball right now. Everybody wants to hit a home run. Everybody wants to launch the ball, all right? Exit velocity, how high do you hit it? Well, that's all well and good, and it's nice. Like when Judge hit his 2-run homer to tie the game Wednesday night in Toronto, tied at 9-9. It was a monster shot. It was an awesome shot to watch, okay? But then he strikes out a lot of the other times. And what did it do? It didn't do much good, right? Because the Yankees ended up losing that game. So again, the Yankees, when they're not hitting home runs, they're not getting guys across the plate. And then you look at guys like Anthony Volpe, okay? When the Yankees brought him into the major leagues 2 years ago, he was their top prospect and a number 5 prospect in Major League Baseball. And he's had a nice career, but he's not hitting. I mean, he just can't hit. He's hitting 220. He strikes out a lot. He swings at the first pitch a lot, or doesn't swing at the first pitch, and it's a strike. And then he tries to pull everything, and he ends up rolling over and hitting a weak ground ball to third base or shortstop. He's hit into more double plays than anybody but Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge has hit into a lot of them. Now let's look at strikeout percentage. Every time Aaron Judge does something spectacular, and he's done a lot of them, okay? Most career multi-homer games. Well, he tied Lou Gehrig, he passed Lou Gehrig, he's probably going to pass Mantle, and that's great, okay? But let's look at strikeout percentage. Aaron Judge has struck out 30% of the time in his career. This year, he's striking out 33% of the time, okay? Lou Gehrig struck out 9% of the time in his entire career. Mickey Mantle struck out 20% of the time in his entire career. Volpe is striking out 28% of the time. Derek Jeter, entire career, 20% of the time. So you got guys striking out more than putting the ball into play. And if there's one thing we've learned in baseball is that if you can put the ball in play, good things may happen. They don't always happen, but when you force the defense to make plays, okay, good things can happen. And the Yankees aren't doing that. Giancarlo Stanton, here's another one. I mean, the Yankees are on the books for his salary for the next 2 years, because when they got him from the Marlins in 2018, he had just signed a 10-year contract. So 1, 2, 3, 8 years. This is the 8th year. They got 2 more years on the books. He hit a nice 3-run home run against Toronto to put the Yankees back in that game. He has the ability to hit home runs, but if you watch him, okay, just watch him at the plate, all right? His stance is so closed that, and he's so muscular that I don't think he has any flexibility. He can't use his lower body and his legs. He swings at everything with his upper body. He can't reach the low and outside pitch. He can't reach the outside pitch because he's not trying to go opposite field with it. He's trying to pull it. Now, if you put the pitch in the wrong spot, like Toronto did, he's going to hit a home run, okay? But it's not happening, okay? The other disadvantage with Stanton is he can't do anything else but DH, all right? He can't play the field. He can't run. So I don't want to say what good is he, but really, what good is he? I mean, when you have a one-dimensional player like that, it doesn't really help you very much. The Yankees don't run a lot. They don't try to steal a lot of bases. That was one of the things that Volpe was supposed to do well, but he can't get on base enough to do it. And when he does, he's not stealing as much. Dominguez has stolen a little bit. But that's all to me. Either they're not stealing, or the manager's not letting them steal. All right, and that's the problem. So the Yankees are going to have to make some decisions here, and I'm tired of hearing. I've listened to a lot of Boone's post-game press conferences. I've heard he's told his team we're still the best team. Well, you're not the best team right now. Okay, I don't know that there's other teams in the East that are that good, to be honest with you, but you're certainly not better than any of them at the moment. If you look at the Eastern Division, I mentioned Toronto's in first, Yankees and Tampa tied for second. Toronto is 16-13 against other teams in the East. Tampa Bay is 13-13 against other teams in the East. The Boston Red Sox, who are in fourth place, are 16-13 against the East. The Orioles are 13-13 against the East, and they're in last place, 38-49. The Yankees are 10-16, worst in the division against other teams in their division. That doesn't bode very well as the season starts to get towards the end here, because they've got a lot of games left with these teams in their division, and they haven't proved that they can beat any of them. The only team that they're able to beat on a regular basis so far is the Kansas City Royals and the Texas Rangers. And if there's one team that's worse than the Yankees in leaving runners on base, at least in the last 3 games, it's Texas. They're not hitting either. But, I don't know. It's like I'm a broken record. I keep saying the same things over and over again. But if you look at that Toronto series, it was really hard to watch when you have the lead in games and you can't seem to hold the lead, and you bring in certain pitchers in certain situations which don't really do you much good. In my opinion, their best reliever right now is Tim Hill, the lefty. He's the only lefty they've got. But he comes out there and he throws strikes. He pounds the strike zone. And that's what you got to do. That's Max Fried's philosophy, is throw strikes. Now, guys might hit it, and I guess their thinking is the Yankees' defense is not very good, but you can't start trying to paint corners because it's not going to work. If hitters lay off those pitches, you're going to end up behind. You're going to get in a lot of 3-2 counts. That raises your pitch limit, or the number of pitches you throw, and you start getting into trouble. Marcus Stroman came out, pitched. Yesterday, they barely got him into the 5th inning, okay? And then they had to go to the bullpen. So why are you starting him? Why are you starting a guy that you're praying that you can get 5 innings out of? Because then you've got another 4 innings you got to pitch with your bullpen. And you don't have enough guys out there now, because I just alluded to the fact that most of them are on the disabled list. So you're putting yourself in a difficult situation, okay? Now, we've got the trade deadline coming up. And I've said in a previous podcast that the Yankees need to go out and get a reliever. They need to get another starting pitcher, and they need to get a third baseman. We'll see if they do that, okay? And we'll see who they have to give up to get it. Now, if they give up, their premier shortstop in the minor leagues is George Lombard Jr. He's hitting about 250 right now between Double-A and High A. If you give him up, you might as well forget it, And I think we'll see. We'll see who they give up and what they have to give up to get what they need going into the end of the season. But if they don't turn things around quick, it's going to be tough. Toronto, I'm not sure about their staying power. Right now, they look pretty good. Like I said, they're 50-38. The Yankees will have another shot at them right after the All-Star break in Toronto, and then I'm sure we'll play them again a couple times in New York. But right now, the Yankees are a shell of the team that they once were. And this is a problem, as I said, that's been going on pretty much all season, in my opinion. So we'll see. The Yankees will play the Mets again today. They'll play them again tomorrow. They come home. They'll get Monday off. They'll come home and play Seattle for 3 games at home. They'll play the Cubs for 3 games at home, and then they'll have the All-Star break. The Cubs are in first place in the National League Central, 53-35. They set a major league record. They hit 8 home runs yesterday in their game. And Seattle is not a bad team. Seattle's in second place right now behind Houston. So it's not going to be easy for the Yankees. And coming out of the All-Star break, they start in Atlanta. The Braves are struggling, but the Braves are the Braves, and they have the ability to beat the Yankees at any particular time. So we'll come back with another podcast after a few more games and a few more series, and we'll let you know how things are going. But right now, that's my take on the status of the Yankees, and we'll Hope you enjoyed it. We'll come back with you another time on the New York State of Mind.